Another legend in the music industry that you worked with was Luther Vandross.
Right.
You worked on his Power of Love CD. Please tell us about the making of this award-winning CD.
Well, albums with Luther over like a 10-year period of different projects and everything, and I did like about 6 of his solo albums. And I started with Gimme the Reason, and the reason why I was in there was because Luther wanted to cross over into pop more than R&B. He was a big star in R&B, but he hadn't really crossed over into pop music yet, and a lot of people hadn't heard of Luther in 1986. And so what happened was that I went in there to help him create a more modern sound for his music, and we started with like Stop to Love and So Amazing and those tunes. And I think the culmination of my work with Luther was like Power of Love, because it truly was like a very, very highbrow, very intense project, and with many amazing songs on it and everything. I think it was kind of like we all reached the peak of working together after that time, and everything kind of like ebbed after that, working with Luther. But he was a great influence on me. I just learned a lot about like the way to interact with people with Luther and what you get out of people. He was a great person to work with in the studio also, and I learned a lot about live performance from him too, because I saw him perform many times in many settings, and he's really missed. We don't have voices like that. We really don't. It's because nobody wants to take the time to learn how to be a master like he was. He was a true master of his craft, and he just didn't become a big star. He went and did commercials and jingles and background singing and all of the stuff before he went and stepped out into the forefront. And that's a pretty deep lesson to learn, because it just seems like now everybody wants to just be like, I'm a star,
Well, another CD that you produced was What's Going On, the Songs of Marvin Gaye. Why did you decide to pursue this project?
I was friends with another great musician. His name was Herbie Mann, and Herbie was, somebody that was a very Renaissance kind of guy. He loved a lot of different kinds of music, from funk to New Orleans to Brazilian. He loved Brazilian and everything. And a number of years ago, after he played on an album of mine, he said, Jason, tell me, I got an idea. I'm telling you, I got this idea, and it's kind of like Marvin Gaye in Rio, Brazilian Marvin Gaye album. And I was going, wow, that's like crazy, man, how do you see it? Because he was thinking, maybe you can help me get a deal for this and everything, And I thought about it, and I didn't really know whether I really heard the music that way, some of it. And then Herbie passed away and everything. And then one night, the night of the Bush and Kerry debates, the very first one, I was at Martha's Vineyard and taking a little break, and we were at a little restaurant, and they started playing all these Marvin Gaye songs over the music system there, and it just all of a sudden, for some strange reason, it just hit me really hard. I started hearing the music in my head, and I had to walk outside the restaurant, and I said, you know what? He's right. This could work. I don't know whether I could do a whole album like that, but I can definitely go and hear reworking Marvin Gaye songs. And I started realizing how important at that point, after really spending time again and revisiting Marvin Gaye, how much of a true American cultural figure he was, and about what he was talking about wasn't being heeded. This night of these debates about the environment and war and everything, and it was so unbelievable just to have it come to me, so I pursued that.
It was very successful.
Well, I don't know about that. It seems that it is successful, but musically it's always successful. It's whether it sells enough to make it so it is really successful. And once it leaves your hands, there's really nothing you can do about it. And then it's up, the bottom line behind everything is that it's up to the people to make it successful. It's up for them to support the music and to buy music that they really believe in. But we're in a different culture now, where like people aren't buying music now.
They expect to get it free. Well, you have been fortunate to work with and learn from some of the greatest artists of our time. Is there anyone you have yet to work with that you aspire to collaborate with?
think that there are a lot of people out there, you know, that I view that I really want to do something with. You know, one of them is Maceo Parker. I'd love to do something with him. You know, I have a band called Global Noise with myself and DJ Logic and a singer from India, Falu, and we explore all different aspects of groove and funk and melody. It's kind of like Miles meets P-Funk and a world groove together, and we have an album out and everything. It's a great album too. It's got an amazing review. Soul Patrol called it the best album of 2008, and you know, there's people that I'd like to, you know, bring into that situation, that, you know, to just help them open up and everything, because so many artists sometimes, they're so like hesitant to move into new situations, and I find that the most important thing is about trust, and about trusting you, that, you know, me as a musical person know what I'm hearing in my head. And I'm very much open. I'd love to do something with like MIA or something like that. And I've worked with a lot of great jazz artists, and I feel like, you know, that there's so many of them that have been a part of my stuff. Guys in the contemporary angle, like Gerald Albright, who's a monster player, and the guy who I love the way Walter Beasley plays. I think he's amazing. At the other point, I love this young trumpet player, Christian Scott, who I've worked with, and he's done stuff with us. And I'd love to do something with like Branford Marsalis, because he's a very open spirit and everything. And then there's different singers out there that I love. I mean, I work with singers in Nashville. I produced this artist, Susie Boggess, who sold millions of records, and we did a beautiful collaboration together. I'd love to work with Nora Jones, who I think, you know, has still got some great albums in her. I think that her first album and second album were done by Arif Mardin, and he's a true visionary of how to put music out there. And these are the people that I've looked towards. So, you know, it's open. It's just a matter of the possibilities of what's out there.
When were you first introduced to music as a child?
I was 6 years old, and I just watched TV and listened to my parents play Mantovani and Jackie Gleason. They played all these Jackie Gleason albums that they bought from him, because Jackie Gleason led different bands, and he had a lot of different records out. My father like kind of semi-jazz, like George Shearing and Terry Gibbs, and like, you know, organ trios and everything. So I was kind of exposed to different things. And then, of course, I lived in Brooklyn, and there was a lot of like doo-wop back there, and I hear people harmonizing back in the late 50s, as far as I can remember back, you know. So I was brought up in a big conglomeration of all different kinds of music, being in New York, and I guess, you know, it just took me to a place, you know.
And what formal education in music have you had?
I started going to college for music, and I just couldn't flow in the situation. And I studied with the grandmasters piano. I studied with a legend in New York named Rector Bailey, who taught me a lot about theory and taught me a lot about jazz piano. And then I studied with an amazing, incredible piano teacher named Lucy Green. For 18 years I studied with her, who really like helped me understand concepts and everything. And so I look back now and I see that I should have even worked harder, you know, with them. You know, that I should have worked way harder, and I would have gotten even more out of them, instead of, you know. But I was so many times, you know, it's easy to look back, but now I know how hard I work, and I still practice, and I'm still studying with this woman in New York. I'm going to start again. Her name is Edna Dolansky, and she's like another amazing, unbelievable teacher. I just don't think you could ever stop learning for what it is you want to get out of it and everything.
Well, you play synthesizer and keyboards. As well, you are a producer, arranger, musical director, and composer. Is there one hat that you prefer over the others?
No, I like everything. I'm in the studio. When I'm in the studio, I feel like that's my world, you know. If I'm putting together a show, I feel that, you know, that I'm the center, and I have that together, you know. It's being able to cover all your bases, and these days you have to, because there's not enough money in anything to go and just do one thing. So I believe that I have to be a master of my trade in everything.